After a newspaper article reveals former Governor Paul LePage exceeded expense limits on taxpayer-funded trips to Washington, LePage is firing back. Good evening. I'm Pat Callahan.
And I'm Cindy Williams. This morning, the former governor discussed the main Sunday Telegram story that showed that the governor spent $170,000 on travel in his final years in office.
$22,000 of that money was spent at a Washington, D.C. hotel owned by the family of President Donald Trump. News Center's Dustin Vladkowski joins us now. And Dustin, LePage likes to boast about his frugality with public money, so it's not surprising that he takes issue with the Sunday Telegram's reporting.
Yeah, that's right, Pat and Cindy. In a radio interview on WGAN this morning, the governor brought the newspaper article up without being asked about it. He blasted the newspaper, saying it's biased, left-leaning, and calling its coverage of him disgusting. However, the governor said many of the rooms were booked by his staff, and it's entirely possible they spent more than he realized.
I don't know what the rate was. I believe me, I would have questioned that had I known.
Former Maine Governor Paul LePage saying he didn't know about an expensive 2017 stay at the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. The Portland Press-Herald Maine Sunday Telegram reported the governor and staff spent $22,000 of taxpayers' money at the hotel over multiple years. One of those stays, the paper says, cost $1,100 a night. On WGAN radio this morning, the governor's response: I didn't know.
Shame on me, because I wasn't aware of it, and shame on me, because I should have been on top of that.
Did he spend the taxpayers' money wisely?
That's the question News Center Maine Republican political analyst Phil Harriman says LePage now has to answer. Harriman doesn't think the former governor has a problem explaining his travel spending to state conservatives as long as there's proof it was necessary.
Did he travel for legitimate government business? And if the answer is yes, then I don't think there's much more to talk about.
The former governor, however, had more to talk about this morning than whether or not he knew about this spending. He explained his travel was booked through a scheduler, that Washington is an expensive place to visit, and that his stays at President Trump's family hotel had nothing to do with expecting kickbacks. And LePage accused the Press-Herald of bias.
The newspapers are in the back pocket of the left, and it is just disgusting how biased they are.
Left-leaning or not, Phil Harriman says LePage has always had a contentious relationship with the press. But regardless, the former governor must instead show
Are the facts there to back up his comments?
And we reached out to Governor Janet Mills' office to find out whether she believes the former governor should be investigated over this spending. They referred us to a statement in the Press-Herald saying Governor Mills is committed to supporting and advancing the interests of Maine people, and there will likely be times that accomplishing these goals will require out-of-state travel. For example, to meet with federal government officials, the congressional delegation, or various stakeholders. Spokesman continues the governor will always do so with an eye toward frugality and strive to be transparent. And as for the newspaper reporters who put yesterday's report together, one of them tweeted today that if Mills were to spend $1,100 a night at a Trump hotel or even $362 a night, they would also certainly report that.